Hi, this is Tom. Welcome to my channel. I have 3 ideas to share with you about how to use AI more effectively. 3 simple and powerful techniques. The first technique is to use questions. And then the second technique is to ask it for prompts. So don't ask for the task directly. Ask for a prompt to do the task. And then the third is to be open-ended. Focus on goals, not specific outputs. And the idea here is to not limit the AI. So I'm going to go through each of these. The first, on the question one, there's 2 parts to this. So one is you can just say at the end of any prompt, do you have any questions? So by doing that, what the AI will do is, if it's unsure about what to do, it will clarify the task. And if it is sure, it will do the task. So this works particularly well in 2 scenarios. So one is, if you sense that what you're writing to the AI isn't that clear, you can just say, do you have any questions? And if it does have questions, it will ask, and if it doesn't, it will execute the task. So if you're writing something and you sense, oh, this isn't that clear, you could just delete what you wrote and write something clearer. But you don't have to do that. You can just say, do you have any questions? And a lot of times what you wrote is clear enough. The AI can go ahead and give you a good result. But if you just give it a question or request or whatever, and it doesn't know what you're asking, it will go ahead and give you a result. But the result is likely to be a very poor result because it doesn't know what you want. So by giving it this opportunity to ask, to ask questions, that gives a better flow of execution where it will clarify if it needs to, and if it doesn't need to, it will go ahead with the task. Okay, then the second one, I'll show this by example. How can I more effectively use AI? Ask me questions. So I could just say, how can I more effectively use AI? And in that case, it might just generate a result that's too generic, because who am I? What's my background? Why do I want to use AI? What's my goals? But if I say, ask me questions, then you can see the types of questions that it'll ask. It'll say, what's my current AI usage and experience? It says, what goals and desired outcomes do I have? And then you can see it's drilling down, into each of these. It says, what are my challenges and frustrations? And drills down to each of these areas. And then you can just answer the questions, and you'll get a very effective result by going through that process. Okay, the second one here is, instead of asking it to do a task, ask it for a prompt for itself to accomplish the task. So I say here, I'm interested in World War II. Write a prompt for yourself to help me learn about World War II. So this is very, very powerful. And a reason that this is so powerful is it's going to execute prompt engineering criteria, which I'll show this. So if you're interested in prompt engineering, you can study that, find out what makes for good prompts, how they should be structured, and you'll learn that you should assign it a role. You should give it scope for the task. You should give it a personality, a tone, and how to address you and the response, and specify the output that it should be giving. Those are some things that you would learn if you studied prompt engineering. Well, you don't need to do all that. You can just say, write a prompt for yourself, because it knows prompt engineering. It knows how to write prompts. And look at this prompt that comes back. it says, here is the prompt for myself. Okay. It says, you are now a dedicated World War II history educator specialized in making complex historical events accessible and engaging for students. Your objective, to help the student learn comprehensively about World War II. Core principles for your interaction. And then it sets these. Initial engagement strategy, your first response to the user. So it tells itself how to respond to you. Key learning areas you should be prepared to cover as the logical progression dictates. And then it sets these expectations as it goes through. And then it has your first response example. And then this is how you give it the prompt. And then this is how it will respond to you to start the session. So this is fantastic and very, very simple. Just ask it to write a prompt for itself to accomplish the task at hand. And then the third idea is a mind frame. And that is to try to be open-ended in the goals and the strategies that you have. So rather than just say exactly what you want to do, you can say more vaguely what you want to do. So, for example, say your idea is to have it write you an essay about World War II. You could get a good result by doing that. So write me an essay about World War II. Now, what we found out about the number 2 is a better result for that would be write yourself a prompt to write me an essay about World War II. You'll get a much better result that way. Or we could also implement question number 1, or technique number 1. It says, I'm going to want you to write me an essay about World War II, ask me questions. And then it will interview you, and that will have it write a better essay. And then when you're ready for it to write the essay, rather than ask it for the essay, say, write yourself a prompt to write the essay on World War II. Fantastic results you'll get using that. And then on the open strategy is I can say, what are some ways I could learn about World War II with you? And so it's going to give a bunch of ideas here. High-level overview and deep dives, timeline walkthrough. You can look at key figures and their roles, study battles and campaigns, weaponry and technology, what-if scenarios, and so on. And then here I said, I thought about having you write essays. What are some other things you can do as techniques? And then it's got a bunch of things that it can do. Question and answer sessions, quizzes, flashcards, summary challenges, cause and effect mapping, and so on. Okay, so these are 3 techniques that I will recapitulate real quickly here to wrap up. One is to use questions. Both you can just say at the end of a prompt, do you have any questions? And then this will work like in any prompt. And then secondly, in certain situations, like where you're wanting to learn how to do something, for example, that's a good time to use this, would be ask me questions. And you can get nice results that way. And the second technique is just instead of asking it to do a task, ask it to write itself a prompt to do the task. And then the third one is to be open-ended in your approach with AI. You can start the session brainstorming. Don't just go straight to telling the AI what you want it to do, but be more open-ended in your approach. Well, those are 3 techniques that are simple and powerful to use to improve your results in working with AI. Thanks for watching, and until next time.